Hey, everybody, and welcome back again to another episode of the Wish You Were Beer Show. This is a live weekly beer show that we do every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We try to have a different beer, a different brewery, something going on with the industry, people involved in the industry, anybody we can get our hands on to chat with. We're big fans of. So make sure you come along with us every week. Similar to last week's show, we are having a little bit of some internet issues on Tiffany and I's end. So if we cut out and we look like garbage, I swear we're more attractive in person. But
the blurring is actually happening.
Bear with us as we kind of work. No doubt about it.
All I'm going to say is that Verizon is going to continue getting strongly worded emails because I don't have time to call them.
But yeah, just like we did last week, we're going to push through it. And luckily enough, Phil is here with us this week, and we have a guest on the show tonight. So we will just be technically unsavvy and let everybody else be wicked savvy.
Tonight, I'm the best looking on the show. Look how crystal clear I am.
Oh, not a chance. Oh, wait. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm floating on an island in the Caribbean, and I have better internet than you all do.
Isn't that amazing? It's ridiculous. So, again, we do this show every Thursday night. Thank you, as always, for everybody for stopping by and hanging out with us like you do. If this is your first time here, make sure you follow along with us. All of our social medias are down at the bottom. Our website's up at the top. Go visit the website, buy some merch, hang out, buy us a beer. Always happy to get any support from the community that we can, and we appreciate it very much. I'm Daniel. That's Tiffany. That's Phil. We're not normally this pixelated, but we are tonight.
And every night, apparently, until
It's really weird, because I think the pixelation got rid of all your hair, which is really weird.
No. Actually, I just got rid of all of it. It's gone.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just assumed it was pixeled.
Yeah, it's gone, man. It's late summer. It's 100 degrees every day, and I work out.
Cut off all your hairs at the end of summer.
Yeah. I really started strong with I'm going to grow long hair throughout the summer process, but that's fine. Didn't say I was the smartest, as always.
No one said you were.
Yeah, no, nobody. My mom claims sometimes that she thinks I am, but I think that's biased at best.
She did school you.
I think you're pretty
smart.
Oh, God, you're right. I'm just as dumb. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay.
So as we do every week, and one of the things that we've started doing week to week here is we like to lead the show off with a little bit of some beer news or something that's come out of the headlines of the beer world or beer community within the past week since we did our other show. And Tiffany found a fun story, and it's a nice, light, easy story where we don't have to talk about Anheuser-Busch anymore. We can talk about something more fun than that. Today is the first. Yeah, of course. Today is the first inaugural National Hazy IPA Day.
So we're doing a wit.
Yeah, I know. We're really good at planning beers for the show, mind you.
We love beer holidays and still suck at following.
Haven't figured out how to make this happen.
Yes.
No,
to be fair, this article came out yesterday, so I'm not sure if this was announced that much earlier.
Correct. No, but I think this is interesting because if you read the story and if you go through the notes in the story, this was spearheaded by Sierra Nevada, which of course is in California.
They also have in North Carolina.
I understand, but we're highlighting the hazy IPA as done by a beer brand that's known for its West Coast IPA. So I think it's interesting. I think it's a fun storyline. Yeah, it's a pale ale. Yeah, they got a West Coast dude. But actually, Sierra Nevada does have the #1 distributed hazy IPA.
Yeah,
in the
hazy little
States.
thing.
Yeah, hazy little thing. So they know a thing or two about it for sure. But I thought it was interesting that the story very specifically highlights where this beer comes from, New England, its roots, and then goes, and it's put on by Sierra Nevada. Like, what?
Yeah, let's not have Sam Adams do that.
Yeah, true story.
Does anyone actually know how you get to have one of these national days?
So there is a national day calendar or something association. And at one point in time, someone asked me a question about how something became a national day. I looked it up, and it's essentially just writing a proposal and saying, hey, we should do this, and then this company will like announce it as an official holiday, and then the more you get buy-in on it, the larger you can make it be. So there's a lot of really dumb holidays, and then there's like normal ones that are widely known.
Well, to celebrate National Hazy IPA Day, I couldn't find one here in St. Martin because there's not a lot of options, but I did find a French West Coast IPA.
Okay.
So, I'm all over the map tonight.
The ultimate West Coast, France.
It's a beer made out of France, and they made a West Coast IPA. But I figured I'm drinking an IPA.
Sure it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
I mean, I'll give it a good West Coast experience.
Bottle looks pretty good. I'm all right with this. So, can you not see it with the blurriness of your computer?
I'm okay with it. True story, Kevin.
Our side, it's apparently you all.
Yeah, so you guys actually might be the problem. We look great on our end.
Yeah, camera's doing fine.
So today is the first August 17th, the first international or national hazy IPA day. They were talking in this story too, which I thought was funny. They were worried that this holiday may be overshadowed based off the amount of beer first Tuesday of the month. It's IPA day within August as well, and now they've lumped hazy IPA into it as well. But they're hoping that by not branding the holiday under a specific moniker, that all breweries will pick it up and celebrate it without it being like, oh, it's Sierra Nevada's holiday. No, it's just hazy IPA. We just spearheaded it. So they're hoping it'll be good for the industry, and because it's such a likable beer and so popular that everybody will jump on board with it and have a hazy IPA day on August 17th, or technically the second Thursday, third Thursday every August.
We'll have to remember for next year. Let's put it on the calendar.
Yeah, somebody write down that note now.
Good at this.
I'd use my phone, but we're using it for Wi-Fi.
So. And that's why we look like if Minecraft were real.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
One day we're going to come in crystal clear and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I forgot what you guys looked like.
Yeah, true story. All right. Despite our pixelation, I believe we're going to have a beer tonight, which is the most exciting part of the show for me personally, because I like beer. Tonight, Phil, if you could hold up the can, that'd be great, since we're pixelated on our end of things. But
tonight, I will gladly hold up this incredibly beautiful can.
Yeah, don't hang it up. Just hold it up.
I'm not going to hang it up, but hold on.
Thank you.
Get a little sticker off of it so it looks its best. Didn't do this pre-show.
Good job out there.
Yeah, really good job. All right, so tonight we are doing a Summer Witte from Back Home Brewing or Brewery?
Brewing.
Back Home Beer.
Back Home Beer.
That's right.
Shit.
There you go.
All right.
Doing great. Off to a great start.
Yeah, off to a great start. No, but if you've been keeping up on the show, we actually did another beer from Back Home months and months ago now, and Zahra wasn't able to be a portion of that show. She had some conflicting time frames. She was lucky enough to have an open time frame, or I should say we were lucky enough. She had some open time frame for us tonight. So we're going to get a chance to catch up with her here shortly and learn a little bit more about the brand and a little bit more about this beer specifically. But I assume, Phil, you traveled all up and down the East Coast and found
I went all the way to Brooklyn, New York, just to take a few photos of a screenshot of what I found on Google. So we've got a little video, and then when we come back, right as the video cuts out, Zahra will be here with us to talk to us all about this beer.
Perfect.
Here we go.
Zahra, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. That was really cool to see. Thanks for putting that together.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah. Phil travels a lot for this show via Google imaging. So
I like how you put it all together.
Thank you. Takes a long time, but I do it for the show.
So Zahra, like we had mentioned earlier, we had your Persian Blue. We actually did it for International Women's Day for that episode. So we were really excited about that beer. We love your background and kind of where you come from, both in the beer world and personally. So we're excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for making a little bit of time for us, because I'm sure based off your Instagram, you're extremely busy.
Uh-oh.
Me or you?
Okay. So I didn't catch all of that. It was frozen.
That's all right. This is part of the fun of this show. We're saying you seem extremely busy based on what we see on your Instagram, and we also know a little bit about how your beer gets delivered. I don't know if you're still doing it the way you did when we first did this beer, but tell us a little bit about what you've been up to. And I tell the audience, I guess, how it all started, and the busyness of you and driving around in a car, I believe, to deliver your beer.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think so. I started, it'll be almost 2 years in October, brewing, and in New York, we're lucky enough to be able to self-distribute. And so I started to just brew the beer, pack it into my car, and go around and sell and deliver the beer myself, which I think, it's not an easy thing to do, but it has also really helped grow the business, I feel, exponentially, because you get a lot of face-to-face time with bartenders or servers or owners or whoever happens to be there when you're at a bar or at a restaurant at like 9 a.m. And so I think that helps a lot in kind of getting my name out there, my brand out there. And they see me wheeling in cases of beer, and they're like, all right, maybe we should tell our friend about her too. And it has kind of helped to organically grow the business as well. But it's not easy. I have somewhat of a system in place. So because I do mostly Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan. So like if my kid has a baseball game, like deep in Brooklyn, I'm like, all right, I have 2 accounts out there. I'm going to reach out and see if they want some beer so I can deliver it at the same time. Like I figure out ways to do it, hire somebody to help me part-time. So now we kind of divide and conquer as much as we can. He helps me like 1 day a week. And it's actually been a huge help.
Very cool.
So
we do go for it, Dave.
I was just gonna say, with the self-distribution aspect, that's crazy. Like, because that's not a thing here in Virginia. Like, you have to work through a distributor. So if you're if you're distroing by yourself, do you have a brick and mortar? Are you contract brewing? Are you using other tanks? Like that? That's always a weird thing.
Yeah, right. So logistically, it's a bit of a nightmare because I'm brewing at a brewery, and then I have a storage facility where I store the beer, and then that's kind of my hub. Are those 2 spots. I don't have my own space. So I brew out of Staten Island, a brewery called Flagship. They're amazing. And they brew all of my beer there. I've been with them since the start. And so I brew the beer there, package it all there. And then from there, I transport it to my storage facility. And then from there is kind of my distribution hub where I get it out everywhere. So that's how it works. And it gives me a lot of freedom, and a lot of times working with the distributor, from what I hear, in New York City isn't great. And so as long as I'm able to do this in the city, I will. I think that hopefully in the future, I'll be able to expand further than the city and get a distributor maybe upstate or in different regions, maybe along the East Coast. But for now in New York City, and as long as I'm able to, I'm going to try to self-distribute.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I think if you can take advantage of that and it works within that capacity, then absolutely, because most distributors are a pain in the ass from what we understand of the industry as a whole.
Well, they're balancing everybody
Yeah,
else's.
I mean, it works to a degree.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I mean, it works to a degree. I would say like there's, I ruined my Prius because I put so much weight in that car and it ended up being like a low riding Prius at one point and completely like ended up totaling that car. And so now I have like a self-imposed 25 case limit at any time in my car. And I'm like, depending on who's in the car with me, I just have to make sure I know the exact weight and that we stay under 800 pounds. So, you know, it definitely, it comes at a cost, but now I'm a bit more careful than I was at the beginning.
One question was coming in from Kevin you brought in. Want to bring that one back in?
Yeah. So our friend Kevin, who's a brewer as well here, and he's in Newport News, Virginia. He wants to know if you have a canning machine or do you use mobile canning?
So we have I don't have a canning machine, but Flagship, they have a canning machine. So it's consistent and it's easy in terms of like quality assurance purposes. Oftentimes having the mobile canners come in, it can fluctuate a bit, but at Flagship, it's consistent. They have their own canning line, and a lot of times we'll be there on canning day and work the line as well.
Just to speak about the canning, who's designing your can art? And because I love all of your can art.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So all of my cans are designed by Iranian women, and I feel like that's very important to what I'm trying to do, because especially the ones with the poems, there's 3 cans that I have that will have poems, and it's a woman who lives in Iran, in Tehran, who is not always given an opportunity to be creative in this way and on this type of platform. So I happened to find her on Instagram, and she's incredibly talented and had the idea to do a poetry series. And that's where that idea came from. And she highlights different Persian poets. And then the can that you were holding up, the Summer Witte, is an Iranian woman who lives in DC. Her name is Mina Jafari, and she designed the New Day IPA, Yalda Queen, and Summer Witte. And they all are, I try my best to tell a story behind each can and the label art. So specifically the Summer Witte that you guys have was to mark the beginning of Pride, and it was a beer for the entire summer. And what I was trying to show in that label was basically the duality of people within the LGBTQ community who live in Iran or the Middle East, where it's not accepted and where it can be punishable with death. And so I was trying to show kind of the hidden versus what could be underneath, and the duality of people living in that region where they're not accepted. And also even people here in the States who might live in a city or in a family or in a church or something like that, where they can't be who they are, and what they're faced with as well in terms of having to keep who they are hidden. So I lost a lot of sleep over that can because I was really trying to do it justice and not offend anybody. And, it was tough, but I really am proud of that art.
Yeah. And
whatever sleep you lost was absolutely worth it, because this thing is just killer. It's just a beautiful can.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting to hear the backstory of it, because when I first saw this can, and I'm sure
Thank
that
you.
you two went through it as well, but when you first see this can, there's a story behind it. You don't know what it is yet, but something went into this to make this can happen and to make this beer happen. So I always love getting a chance to hear the back end story of it and where it comes from and why, which is interesting as well, because we haven't even brought this up yet. But so you're using these women who are doing can art for you and doing some of the poetry and stuff like that. Obviously, you're Iranian.
Yes.
Born? Yes. Okay.
I was born in the States.
Okay.
My parents both emigrated to the States a couple years before I was born.
Now, do you still have family in Iran?
I do. I have a lot of family there who are still there. I have a lot of family who visits there. And when I was a teenager, I would go for like the entire summer throughout my childhood. We would visit and we'd stay for the entire summer. So in the last 20 some years, though, I haven't been able to go back because my parents are, a lot of family members are more involved in kind of opposing the current government. I'm very involved in protesting the current government and regime. And also now I work in alcohol. So at this point, when we want to see our family, we meet in like Germany or somewhere in Europe to see them.
Interesting. Now, so do you still have family over there, or maybe even friends who potentially oppose what you're doing within the beer industry?
I don't. I mean, I think I think what people, and me too, a big reason about why I did this is because that there is such a misconception between alcohol in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And, when my parents and grandparents lived there was breweries and distilleries and vineyards, and people were drinking, and the pictures you see there, you wouldn't realize that you would think it was the United States. And so that's kind of a foreign land to anyone in my family that grew up there. They don't even recognize Iran anymore because they grew up so differently. So they are very secular people. Everyone I know drinks. My family drinks. Like, we're drinkers, and it was mostly beer growing up. So no, I mean, everyone's really excited about what I'm doing, and the fact that I'm trying to bring a connection between alcohol and the Middle East together. They're really happy about that because they're, my dad especially, he's like, we invented beer and we should get credit for this, so he thinks we invented everything. But I mean, they're really excited about what I'm doing.
And on top of that, aren't you using some of the recipes or some of the ingredients that your grandfather used when he was making?
Yeah.
Because he was making alcohol as well.
He was, yeah. So he was making beer, wine, and they had a huge garden in the back, and they would pull, they grew sumac and sour cherries and pomegranate and dried black, everything that I'm trying to incorporate in my recipes is things that I know that they used in making beer and cooking, and it's a lot of flavors that are very familiar to me.
Wow, that's just really cool.
Yeah, I love that. We talked about that when we did your first beer. We actually did like a trivia section on it where we talked a lot about where some of your ingredients are coming from, and so if you saw that episode, it's fun to kind of hear you talk about it and talk about your family and where this beer comes from versus where we just internet thought it came from.
I feel like we did a pretty good job.
No, I feel like we were pretty close, but
we were less pixelated back then as well.
I don't know.
It seems like it came together, though. I can see you guys pretty clearly now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Good. We switched the internet halfway through.
Yes. That being said, before we keep chatting, I do want to crack this beer open so that we can make sure that we get a good full round picture of it before we talk about it a little further. So again, tonight we are doing the Back Home Summer Witte. This is a wheat ale with dried black limes, which sounds exciting as all get out. And it's from Back Home Beer out of New York.
I gotta say, I've never had a dried black lime. So what am I expecting from a dried black lime?
Yeah, that's you know what, I'll agree with you a little bit, Phil. I was going to make a joke about it, but then as you said that, I was like, yeah, you're right. Actually, I don't have a history on that.
When they were delivered to the brewery, the head brewer over at Flagship, he got the shipment and he was like, I don't know what's in this box, but it just smells like farmland or something weird in here. And I was like, that's it. You got the black limes.
Yes.
So it's a very earthy kind of flavor, smoky lime. Here, I've got it too.
Yeah, jog your memory. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
So it's I would say it's very, like I said, earthy and smoky, and it's got a pretty potent lime taste to it, so you can't use a ton of it. But I brewed with this over at a homebrew shop in Brooklyn. So one of the first times I was learning how to brew, I took classes there, and then I decided to make, I think it was like a 15-gallon batch there. And we threw the limes in, and they just all floated to the top. And we were like, oh shit. We didn't realize that they were going to just sit on top of the beer. So we started to like scoop them up and then put them in like a cheesecloth bag with some weights in there, and then just dropped it in again. So I learned my lesson when we brewed it here, and we just hand crushed all the limes, not to like a powder, but really just sat there, crushed them down so that you could really get all of the flavor into this beer. And I think it came out really, really nice.
Yeah, and we'll talk some more about how nice that is shortly, because I've already had one sip, and yeah, we're gonna have a good conversation about this beer. What size system are you brewing on when you do brew?
So it's a 15-barrel system, but I'm double brewing pretty much everything. So we're doing like they've got 30-barrel fermenters. So we typically the batch size is 30 barrels.
Okay, cool. And so I mean, all that's getting canned, all that's getting distroed. Like you're doing 30 barrels of some shit and just throwing it out there, huh?
I love that.
Yeah, trying to. So it gets canned and kegged, but I only do the sixtals because I can't pick up anything heavier than that. So
that's actually a great reason.
And that is probably what happened to your Prius.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because I've had accounts be like, we'd really like the half barrels. And I'm like, once I get somebody who can lift them for me, I will start packaging them up in the half barrels. But I'm
or
not.
You can drive up here and pick them up. Come on.
Yeah. Right.
I love that. But I also think, so with the blue salt beer that we had now, with having a couple of sips of this one already too, I think quality control is such a weird animal with putting it out in smaller volumes too. Less about picking up the sixtel, but when you put a beer out there, and depending on whose lines it's on and how long it sits and what the shelf date is on it, sometimes you can get a beer that is past its prime, which reflects poorly on the beer that was maybe made really well. So I almost like just doing sixtels because it's going to be gone. It's going to be as fresh as it can be.
Yeah. That's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah, it's just annoying probably for them to replace them frequently, but that's fine.
Yeah.
They're welcome.
Yes, a lot of Prius loads. I don't know how I feel about that statement. I don't know where to go with that one, Kevin, but yes. So, being a woman in the industry, which is always a conversation that we have, especially with women in the industry in general.
Super easy. No?
Yeah. No, I know it's not easy. Oh. Shut up, Bill. I know. But have you had any pushback within the industry? Has everyone been amazingly supportive? Has everyone been on the same page? Because we've talked to a couple of women in the industry who have had some pushback.
I would say it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say that the majority of my experience has been positive.
Good.
But that's not to say I haven't had some really just odd and sketchy interactions with people.
Yes.
Starting with when I reached out to find a contract brewer, I just blind email. I was not somebody who was working in the industry. I felt like such an outsider. I was blind emailing and calling people to see if they would open up their brewery to me to try and brew these recipes. And I got a lot of no's. And then I also got some, I got a brewery that was like, oh, well, we'd have to own a stake in your business. And then when I talked to other people, they were like, they never said that to me. They never said that to me. So I'm not sure why, so it's just so little things like that where you're like, okay, if I wasn't a woman, you might not have approached me that way. Obviously, there's no way to know for sure, but based on other people's experience who have contract brewed there, they're like, oh no, they just gave us, we just had to pay a fee. That was it,
Money's money. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was,
it's almost like the same thing of like women going to like mechanics. Like they just assume that you don't understand the industry. And so they're going to try and take advantage of you at every moment they possibly can. And
100%.
Yeah, I've
exactly. Yeah. It's just the assumption, like you said, that I just didn't know what I was doing. And so, I was taken aback by that. And then of course, just going on some sales meeting or tastings and things like that, people assuming that maybe, talk to your boss, like, things like that. Or then
let me go talk to my manager.
Yeah. And we're like saying very just racially odd things. Like I had a guy who was basically like, oh, did your grandfather collect water for the beer in his clay pots? And I'm like, no.
What kind of question is that?
Like just crazy stuff, and be like, well, I thought Muslims can't drink. And I'm like, well, this isn't like a Muslim thing, just so I would say it's a mixture of like weird racial stuff and then also just being a woman in the industry. But with that said, I do think that the people that are part of the industry have been very supportive and have tried to advocate for what I'm doing. And it has been mostly positive.
Yeah. And I think it's probably, I joke about this all the time within the industry, people within the actual beer industry that are not the business of beer, but the production of beer, the art of beer. What a crazy supportive community and an accepting community. And then as soon as those dollars and cents get involved, you get some weirdos in there who are like, I don't know shit about beer, but it looks like it makes money and I can make money.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Well, what do you have coming up? Because I know right now you have about, last I looked, you had 4, but I think you have more than that now. You've got 4 or 5.
So far I've put out 3 core beers and then 3 seasonal kind of drops. So 6 beers total. I'm working on a Schwartz beer, a black lager, which I love. Yeah.
We're listening. Yeah.
We'll have you back soon.
Yeah, that's my favorite style of beer. So I'd love to make a dark lager. And right now I'm focusing a lot of my effort too on just raising money and trying to build my own space. And that's a lot of my focus right now. So really pushing my core beers. Because I would say that most of my accounts are restaurant accounts. So they're buying the same beer, like the lager and the goza mostly. And then every now and then kind of sprinkling in the seasonal drops.
Yeah. And that consistent revenue is super important when it comes to that. So that's fantastic.
And I love the fact that you're talking about how you need to raise more money, and yet you are still partnering with East Village Loves New York City and giving away money.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you're doing with that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that was something that was important to me from day one. I wanted to be able to support. I have a huge, I guess, community is very important to me, especially living in a place like New York City. And I really think that we have to support our community and that the community will support you back. And so that was a huge part of it too for me, was being able to donate money back to Evie Loves, which is a kitchen in the East Village that serves food insecure communities throughout New York City. And they've also been a big part of the migrant buses that have been arriving to New York constantly. They're there, whether it's like 2 a.m. or 7 o'clock at night, with a hot meal for all of those people that are coming into the city. So they do really great work for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And kudos to you for supporting that. I mean,
Especially on the early onset of I'm trying to build a business,
Right.
but let me
Right.
make sure that I give back at the same time, because that's
just a level of like values that I really enjoy in a company. And
I
it's a
thought you were going to say that I really don't have. I thought that's where that was going. I was like,
I
no,
donate
you're
all the
great.
time.
Okay.
I have to. Otherwise, I'll feel terrible. But no, I just as a consumer, that is something that I always look for. And so, like, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think especially in the beer community as well in general, like if you have a cause or a reason to be making something that I'm already going to purchase anyway, I'm going to purchase twice as much, because I also like the fact that you have a cause and like care. I'm not just pumping out beer to pump out beer. I like to do this. I like to do this. And that's all the breweries that we keep up with religiously, so to speak. That's always their big thing that they hang their hat on. Like, I care about this cause, and this is where we spend the majority of our time and money.
A portion of the proceeds goes to that.
Goes to this.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the Summer Witte, and actually it always says it on the back of the can, but this one, a portion of the proceeds goes to the LGBT Community Center of New York. And they're also a great organization. And so for every case order all summer long, a portion goes back to that also.
Very cool.
And they're doing great work as well.
Yeah, 100%. So now talking about this wit beer, because we're going to talk about it for a few minutes while I keep track of time, so I don't hold you up too long. This is a strange wit.
I love it.
Yeah, no, but this is so. If for me, like Phil mentioned earlier, like I don't know what this dried lime material is, but I know what a wit beer is. So I think I know what I'm expecting when I crack this can, and then I got something completely different, in a good way. But what comes from this beer? What's behind this beer? What is the idea of this beer? Other than the can art and everything we've already talked about, like the actual base of this beer, where does it come from?
Yeah, you mean the recipe?
Yep.
In general, yeah.
So
So
the secrets.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
So you want me to break down the recipe for you? Is what you're saying. So for this beer, I really just wanted to use the black limes in some capacity. For me growing up, I used the we used it in stews, like very hearty stews. It could be anything herbal or to eggplant or beef or whatever. You would stick only 1 or 2 of these black limes in a big pot of stew, and the aromatics and the citrus flavor, and it would really just it would fill our home with like that smell of lime. And so I tried it in a few different beer styles, but it wasn't hitting right for me at all. Like we tried it in a lager. Dogfish Head does that sour, what is that? The sour quench or something like that. They use
Sea quench.
Yeah,
they use these black limes in their sea quench beer. And so, I tried it in the sour. It was great. I actually do love that beer, but I was trying to do something a little different. And so I felt like with the wit beer, the wheat and oat base, it was just a very like full and round and kind of had that sweetness to it. And I felt like this lime would do well in there along with the orange zest. We cook with coriander a lot. So when we tried a bit of R&D on like cold steeping the limes, doing a hot steep and figure out which kind of extracts the best flavor, we decided to put them into the boil. And that really had a bright lime flavor without making it almost an artificial lime, which can happen because it's such a strong flavor. So we tried not to overdo it with the limes.
Yeah, and that artificial lime flavor is a really dangerous fine line.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know when you have that artificial lime flavor versus we actually did something with limes personally.
I've had a Bud Light lime. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were trying to avoid.
Correct.
And I think you
If
nailed
you want to
it.
be popular in Vegas, it's fine.
Yeah.
I have way better ways to be popular in Vegas than to buy limes at all, actually. Well, you could use limes.
All right. So we won't keep you any longer, but this has been just absolutely so wonderful having you on the show. We were sad when you couldn't make the last one, and we're so happy we got you back.
Yeah, I know. I'm really happy too that I made it and that we are not going to see my son has a baseball game and I know he's going to come barreling in through the door at any moment. So I'm like, all right.
That's the kind of content we're here for.
Yeah,
We're here for chaos.
Right.
Another 10 minutes. Yeah.
So
you'll see it for sure.
that being said, before we let you go, though, is there anything coming up that you're really excited about? Anything coming up within the brand, within
Any seasonal beers you're planning to maybe do this next season, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be really nice to get this. I haven't done a dark beer at all.
Yeah.
So this will be my first dark beer, and I'm really excited for that one. I think it'll be something nice for the fall. And then just to keep an eye out, we've got a couple fun kind of media related stuff coming out, and also hopefully I'll be able to give an update on my own brick and mortar space soon, because that's really what is driving me to keep doing this and moving forward, because I really just want a space for the community to come together that's inclusive and diverse and offers some delicious Persian street food with beer. And that's really the goal for me. So please,
We will come visit.
Yeah.
please. Yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's tough when people ask me, where can I get your beer? I'm always directing them to other people's spaces, which is great. And I'm happy to do that because they support me. But I want to be able to have a space of my own and meet the people who go out and buy the beer all the time and support me so much, and be able to host them as well. So hopefully I'll be able to provide an update on that soon.
Yeah, and if you already don't follow Back Home Beer on Instagram, throughout the social medias, easiest way to keep up with her. And it's I know we've been following you since we found your first original beer, and it's been a blast. I think you do a wonderful job at keeping up on that versus actually just keeping up on beer in general.
I mean, you're doing both great.
Yeah, because sometimes you see like a brewery that makes a great beer, and then you see their social media, and you're like, oh, I want nothing to do with your beer now.
Right.
And you've done a wonderful job of keeping up on both of them, and we've enjoyed following it all individually as well as the show. So, yeah, please keep us in the loop if you stumble upon a brick and mortar.
Or if you just want like a 5 to 10 minute slot to pitch something, we're more than happy to be on that show.
Thank you. No, that means a lot. I appreciate that. And thank you for considering me to come on the show. And City Swiggers, they're awesome. They carry the beer on every side.
Yeah. So Vero, who does a lot of show work for us, she's responsible for all of our New York beers.
Yep.
She finds all of our New York beers, City Swiggers, and a couple other places. She sends us beer a couple times.
Yeah, we also got your beer at Craft and Carry, I believe, as well.
Yeah. Craft and Carry was the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We won't allow your son to come plowing in.
Oh, man, I was hoping for that.
It happens.
Yeah. Any minute now. Well, thanks, guys. It was really nice chatting with you. I really appreciate
You
it.
too.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Now that we have internet, let's talk about this beer real quick.
Yeah, we got to review it, and then that's the button.
Don't panic. We have 45 minutes.
So now that our internet's back, tonight we are doing Back Home Summer Witte from Back Home Beer, which I was excited about to begin with. Again, we've already had a beer from Zahra and from her brand, and it was amazing. So
yeah, that Persian beer was so good.
Yeah, it was wicked good. And I was 100% sure we weren't going to miss on this one. Now, historically, I'm not a wit fan. It's not my favorite style
Not a fan
of beer.
wheat beers.
I'm actually not either. So I'm right there with you.
Whatever this goddamn black lime shit is what should be in every wit beer.
It solved all the issues.
It
with wit.
solved all the wit problems for me.
Well, so I think it's interesting because I enjoy wits. I know that they are like a smoother, heavy-bodied wheat beer, and I really like wheat beers. So I'm getting the full wit flavor in the back end of this with a lime touch on top. Well, it's more of like a herbal lime like touch, and like the combination of those two and the body of the wit smooths it all out and makes it like a creamy beer almost. It's freaking delicious.
Okay, so what she said about this beer originally was when you smell it, it's kind of funky and weird, and I was like, I'm listening. Like, like you had me at funky and weird. Yeah, we do a lot of farmhouse brews, so I'm listening. I know it's a wit, but I'll entertain it. But no, the lime is really interesting. The black lime is really interesting. It's not a flavor. I mean, obviously, we've all had lime before, but whatever this variation of it is a little smoky. It's way deeper of a flavor than just a standard like lime zest you would think of, or like dropping a lime in a Corona. Basically, it's not that at all.
No, it's a more complex flavor. Super
complex. I generally don't like wit beers to begin with. It's not my favorite style. I really like the lime and smokiness of this. It does smell like a funky beer. Like I would be like, yes, I'm interested. This is a 4.75 for me. This beer is fantastic.
Same. I freaking love this beer. No, I was like, do I give it a full 5? I may even just give it a full 5 because it's such an unusual wit.
Limes on the back end. Title of your sex tape.
No, that this is a phenomenal variant of it, and I don't know if I've had a better wit. Sorry, Abby and Kevin.
No, and Vero said the same thing. Like, not a fan of wheat beers, but this is always one of my favorite conversations when you have a beer that is not your style. I'm not a fan, but I don't know what they did with this one.
Right. Well, and this is what we talk about with Untapped, of like people like giving beers a chance and then like rating them either a nothing, like not rating them at all if they don't like it, or like giving it a chance and then actually rating it really well, because you know, sometimes you're going to find a beer that you didn't think you were going to like and you do, and other times you might not like it, and that's fine, but you know, keep giving them a ring.
Keep giving them a ring.
Yeah.
So Phil, you think the same thing? You're 4.75?
I'm at 4.75. I think this beer is phenomenal. It's so unique, and then it's also one of those beers that tastes luxury almost. It's got like a high-end thing about it, where like, you know what you're drinking is like so well made with really good ingredients. It's one of those beers that I feel like would be at like a fancy event and everyone would be drinking it and everyone would be happy with it. And it's just, I don't know, it just has a really heightened flavor to it to me. Yeah. And I really like it. I really dig it.
Yeah. It's very well balanced.
Yeah, I dig it. I was, again, when we had our first beer, I was excited.
The first beer was phenomenal
I was excited that she was able to be on the show this time, because I was like, let's talk about this. Like, let's talk to you. Let's figure this shit out. Because
I'll follow her wherever she goes and makes beer. Like, everything so far has been so cool. She's been fantastic.
For the record, Megan, Twan is always wrong. Do not gauge your lifestyle this way. I assume we're going to do a show next week.
We are. I think you're going to tell me which one we're doing.
I am going to tell you because you have no fucking idea.
No idea.
No. So I'm excited for next week's show as well. Because,
it's really excited.
Yeah. So we've dealt with Virginia Beer Company for a long time. They're good friends of ours.
Dealt with them.
Everyone on the show has been there. We'll share some pictures of when we were all there together. But we're going to get a chance to talk with Michael again, who's been on the show. But we're going to talk a little bit about Virginia Beer Company's rebranding, some of their kind of back end like industry stuff that's not production based. It's just here's the business.
The planning of not only creating labels, but the whole rebranding experience that they just went through. and even creating new can sizes and all these different things. So we're definitely going to get Michael. We may even get Robbie on. We don't know.
We don't want Robbie on. Last time Robbie was involved, there was a garage door involved, and we can't have that
again. I am here for the chaos.
Well, I'm going to be back on the West Coast, so it'll be 5 p.m.
Could happen. It could happen.
But I won't be in a garage. I'm going to be in a new place, so no more murder room. The murder room's gone. I'm sad about it.
I hate everything.
Sorry.
And I apologize to everyone who's watching the show for the first time and thinks I have a murder room. It's an inside joke.
I should not have brought that up so casually. Oh. So that being said, we're going to get to hang out with our friends at VBC, Virginia Beer Company, next week, and we're going to have Michael on the show, a really good steward of the industry and somebody who knows his shit, which is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
To kind of hear that back end production talk of what happens in the beer world versus what you see at the tap room.
Right. Because we can talk about beer all day, but the actual running of a business is, I mean, it's make or break, really. Yeah. You can have great beer and your business isn't going to survive if you don't know what you're doing. And so this is an opportunity to kind of get that back end and see how they're doing their stuff.
Should be a good time. But like always, obviously, all of our show information is at the top. All of our social medias are at the bottom. If you didn't get a chance to catch the full episode tonight, you can always go to wishyouwerebeershow.com and catch a catalog of all of our shows. Please go visit Zahra at Back Home Beer. Through her socials. She doesn't have
a location, but you can find her beer in New York City.
Correct. And I meant go visit her social medias.
Yeah. We didn't specify.
Here we go. We finally have internet, and now you can hear us argue instead of it being glitchy. But make sure you follow along with Zahra. She was nice enough to be here with tonight, and she's 2 for 2 on beer that we've had from her personally.
Like phenomenal ratings.
Oh yeah, these are crazy good.
Yeah, great
and
beer.
12-ounce cans, which I love.
Yeah, I do love the 12-ounce can.
Also, let's get her address. Well, we're not passing out information out yet currently. Jesus, Kevin,
sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot to be asking.
Well, if I make it out to the West Coast through that hurricane, I'll see you next Thursday. But otherwise, good luck on the show when it's just the two of you.
Be safe, man.
We'll be pixelated.
See you next week.
Maybe. Bye, everyone.